episode 15. That is the first time I've had to look at my notes to double check what episode it is.
Ooh.
We're getting into high numbers now.
really getting in there.
Well, if someone didn't get COVID, we'd be on episode 17.
Yeah, because I just chose
Yeah.
to do that. Like, yeah.
You made that decision.
Yeah.
How's your week, Corey?
Stressful.
Yeah. You've been real busy, haven't you?
Yeah, it was like, so probably yesterday was the first breather day where I was like, oh, mind can chill now. Because, well, sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, but as I've mentioned a few times now on this run up, like, we had the boot camp coming up. That happened from Tuesday. So, like, the final push to prep everything for that and for HCS this weekend, it's kind of like crunch time. So, shit was pretty stressful for a few days. I felt like I had so much to deal with. But
fair enough.
It's all like the boot camp's final day going on at the moment. HCS starts tomorrow. So all the prep work's done. So now I'm just chilling and I get to watch Halo for the weekend. So
yeah.
How's your week been?
Are you going to do a watch party on your YouTube for that, or are you going to chill by yourself and watch it?
It'll either...
I'm right in thinking HCS is like anyone can do a watch party, we don't care.
Yeah, they can. They've like anyone can do them. I don't know if I'll necessarily do one on my Twitch. I'm not sure if we're planning to do one in the KCP Discord. Maybe on the Saturday, Sunday after group stages. Which has just reminded me there is one thing I haven't done for work on that shit. Okay. I'm sure I'll get it done. But yeah. Probably do a watch party in KCP or something. But how's your week been?
It's good. So obviously, after we finished last week, the Saturday and Sunday I was out in Ireland, seeing family I hadn't seen in a very long time, which was amazing. I got to meet a brand new cousin who was born during the pandemic. I got to see my uncle and his now wife, who are also pregnant with a baby.
Cool.
I got to see my younger cousins who last time I saw them, all of them came up to like my shoulder, and now two of them are like taller than me.
Oofed.
Like they're massive. It was great. We're really lucky. All of our family gets on really well. But it was really nice. Saturday, like the Saturday was the longest day I've had in a while. We got up at like 3:30 that morning, and I didn't get to bed until 1 a.m. Sunday morning. It's the way it is. We were just rolling. There was a party from like 5 o'clock Saturday afternoon, evening, all the way through. Because we haven't been able to see each other since my other uncle's wedding 3 years ago. So yeah, that was absolutely great. Flew back late Sunday night. Monday was pretty chill. Streamed some more Valorant. It was my last day off before going back to work on Tuesday. Work didn't get off to the greatest start with shenanigans that had taken place while I was out of the office, but that happens sometimes. Case. Yeah, sadly. And then just obviously we're getting ready to wrap up the week now. It's not too bad. Obviously for me it was only a 4-day week. Next week is a 4-day week as well because of another bank holiday. So it's actually going to be quite a nice way to ease myself back into work after like just over like a week and a half off in total.
Yeah, you've timed that well.
Yeah, I did. It worked out really nicely. And actually, we didn't have a character profile for this week that made sense, and I didn't want to wait until after watching Moon Knight last night to hope and pray there was a character that made sense. So what I did was one of my uncles. I'm gonna say uncle a lot potentially. Just so we're clear, I have 5 uncles, so I might never ever be talking about the same one.
Fair.
One of my uncles is also a bit of a comic book fan. And by a bit of, he reads a lot of comics, but mainly he reads Judge Dredd.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Horry's clicked. Obviously, you guys don't know yet. I mean, you can probably put 2 and 2 together. So I decided this week we'd do a character profile on Judge Dredd because I didn't know who else to do it. We haven't done one on him. He's a lesser known character in the grand scheme of the world. People probably over the age of 25 will recognise the name instantly. Younger than 25, you might get a lot of people who don't actually know the name anymore.
I feel like you just called me old.
No, it's just the right time. Because of the films he had and stuff. So, again, this is going to be one of the shorter ones, but it's a great character for a lot of good stories. If you like the sound of this, it might be worth trying to find an old Judge Dredd comic. So the character originally is from 2099. His first comic book appearance was 1977. And he is what is known as a senior street judge in Mega City 1. This is very 70s and 80s style science fiction. Basically, in this future, it's post-apocalyptic world. There's like 2 or 3 mega cities across America, which is basically just a wasteland other than these 3 cities. As a result, you've got these massive cities that are just built to the brim, and as a result, poverty, crime, all that horrible stuff runs rampant. So what they did was their police force is full of judges instead of police officers. The judges are the law. They have the power to be judge, jury, and executioner. So if a person has done a crime that is severe enough to be executed, they can be executed on the spot. So punishment's handed out on the spot as the judge sees fit. Across all of these judges, there is one judge that everyone knows and everyone fears the most. Judge Dredd. He is a clone of the chief of the police when it first started. And when we first interact with Judge Dredd in his first comic, he's already been doing the job for like 15, 20 years. So he's like a hardened veteran. And he is a different kind of like superhero. First and foremost, he's an officer of the law, which is a particularly violent and militant regime. But he's also like kind of bordering on superhuman because of his training from like the age of 13. They have super advanced sleep chambers, which means he only actually sleeps for 10 minutes a day. The other 23 hours and 50 minutes, he is out working. He will fight all crime. He doesn't like in his comics. He doesn't just deal with like the big like super bad guys like Judge Death. The names are very 70s and 80s. He will fight even little crimes. That is kind of a point of contention because he has questioned on multiple occasions like how brutal this police state is. But he is the law. He is the law. He has to follow the law. But it's very much this character is a product of their time. That he's been born into and bred by a world where the police are brutal. They have to execute on their orders at all times and do what the law says and enforce the law to the letter. So he does it. But there has been times in the comics he's gone, this just feels kind of wrong. It's some of the stuff would definitely border on what we'd call today propaganda. Like definitely, there's no way it doesn't. But there is also a lot of interesting stuff in there. As long as you're not the kind of person, as long as you're not the kind of person who's gonna read this stuff and go, "Oh, it's brilliant! The police should be able to execute people all the time," blah 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 blah, and you can like enjoy media while still being able to criticize the less than ideal parts of it, you'll have a great time. If you're the kind of person who reads something, gets drawn in by something that looks kind of cool and shiny, and then can't think for themselves, maybe give it a skip.
Good advice.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. But yeah, so there we go. That's Judge Dredd. He has had 2 films. Sorry, I forgot to mention actually because this makes it kind of important. You never actually see Judge Dredd's face in the comics.
Just his chin, right?
Yeah, so he's got like the big red
Mhm.
X mask that goes across like that, and you can see like this part of his face,
Mm.
and that's all you see in the comics. It starts off with them being lazy and like focusing on the Judge Dredd side and not the actual person underneath the mask. And then by the time anyone thought about it, they went, "It's gone on too long now. He doesn't have a face. He's the law." So that's how it stayed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got to, I want to say 1995, but it could have been 1997. Feel free to fact check me. They decided to make a film, which starred Sylvester Stallone. But I'm pretty sure they hired him, and everyone knew it was him because of his face and his voice. But I'm pretty sure they made him wear the mask the entire time still, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they did. I'm trying to remember the film.
I don't think the film did particularly well, but I think it's kind of a cult classic that's actually still got quite an avid fan base. And then in 2012, they did another Judge Dredd film with Carl Urban, who plays Butcher in The Boys.
Still need to watch that.
I'm not as confident that he keeps his mask on for all on that one. I think there's like one scene where he takes it off. That film, as far as I remember, got panned, but everyone was like, the idea is what we want. It was just executed poorly. So I think, like the Raid films where it's like you got the police officers who fight their way up a building.
Mm-hmm. Great film.
I think it was that style. So it was like Judge Dredd goes into one of the massive apartment blocks that's full of crime, and he like fights his way up to the top.
I think that's the film I remember.
So that might be the Sylvester Stallone.
No, I think I've seen the original Judge Dredd in like pictures of, but I think the film that I remember from when I was younger is the 2012 one.
Yeah. Apparently people weren't happy with the lack of really brutal violence.
Well,
which is a weird complaint you don't hear a lot of. But I think everyone's like, this idea could have been so good, but you just missed. But anyway, that is all I've got to say on Judge Dredd for now.
I have a question. Where can I buy a sleep chamber that lets me sleep for 10 minutes?
Honestly, can you imagine how much shit we'd get done?
I've always said that if they ever brought out a pill that gives your body everything it needs that gets from sleep, I'd take it.
You know what my thinking is with stuff like that, though?
It's impossible. They can't, like, there's no way to do it.
Forgetting that, let me drink.
Oh.
I need it to be a secret. Because I only actually get the extra time if it's a secret. Because if all of a sudden everyone is awake 24 hours a day, the workday just gets longer. It doesn't
I don't know
stay
if it
as a 9
does.
to 5. No, it doesn't. Capitalism.
I think it depends on the industry you're in, but
everyone starts working at least 10-hour days, and shift work becomes even more ungodly. Yeah, I need it to be a secret so that them 8 hours are mine and mine alone.
True.
Because I'd have 8 hours to work.
Honestly, if I could, this is a weird tangent I've taken us on, but if I could actually have like a realistic superpower that's one that's not like forces you to be a hero, it would be the fact that I don't need to sleep. That would be my power.
I'd get so much done. Ignoring the fact I almost certainly have ADHD and would get distracted and procrastinate for 20 hours a day. No, it would make that I've got time to do it later so much worse, though.
Oh, 100%. But it also means that I could game. I would be a Rust lord. I would play Rust through the degen hours every night.
You could also do the most entertaining uncapped subathon of all time.
Oh.
Because there wouldn't be 8 hours every day if you're just sleeping.
No, you would have to do 8 hours of someone else taking over, so Twitch thinks that you're sleeping. Like you're gonna have you have to trick Twitch into thinking you're not just permanently staying awake.
Anyway.
Yeah. completely derailed us.
Normally it's the last 5 minutes that go
Yeah.
to shit, not this early.
Not the
God damn it,
first 5
Holly.
minutes.
Moon Knight episode 5.
Yes.
Wow.
I am stating this now, and I've already messaged you this yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain in saying that I was correct last week.
Yes. Before we get too much further, though, if anyone's just listened to this episode randomly, he did. I mean, obviously spoilers. He didn't predict Stephen was going to die, and I think that's the big thing that people would focus on with no context. No one predicted that.
No, and
if anyone claims they did, they're fucking lying to you.
Or they worked on it and.
Yeah.
But no, my prediction. We were making predictions last week as to like what the fuck was going on. If you haven't seen our last episode, either go listen to it or if you just want to know the rundown. My prediction was that I said he had died and he was in some weird like limbo state of dying, and it was like memories were all merging, hence why we had like the same characters and Egyptian stuff, but he was in a mental home, and then his mind was like he was split into two people. I was just like, this is him dying. Had no idea where it was going to go.
Can we actually confidently say that?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it.
How do we not know that that's still a fake reality and the hospital is the real reality?
I can't confidently say that is the case, but I am still.
Realities, they did die and go to limbo.
I am still sticking with the fact that I do think he is actually in like a limbo state.
I think you probably already know what my only complaint is.
Yes, I have the same complaint. As the episode was going on,
yeah,
I was slowly getting more and more annoyed.
That not Jake hasn't been revealed yet.
Yeah, and I think it's not necessarily like, and maybe they're gonna do this in a better way than we are envisioning.
There's just a lot left for one episode.
Yeah, and maybe they have like this grand plan for it, but I think everyone is with us on this, but like when that scale was unbalanced with two hearts, the whole time I'm like, this is cool, you're going through all these rooms, this is like great, I'm loving this.
Find Jake.
Find fucking Jake. It's his heart you need. That's why you need three hearts to balance it. I
turned to Jenna while we were watching. I went, they need Jake's heart. Yeah. That's what they need.
And the longer the episode went on, I'm like, where's Jake's heart? Where's Jake? And then there was a point where I thought, was it when he had which point was it? There was a point when he started fighting, and I can't remember if it was on the boat or if it was when one of the fights he had in the asylum.
In the asylum when he grabbed like the shard and was kind of holding it like a knife.
Yes, I was like, is this Jake coming out?
A lot of people,
because it was a bit more chaotic, but then it like completely changed. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, I feel like I'm being blue-balled.
My main concern is, and don't get me wrong, I know the concern can be eased a lot by the quality we've had so far. My main concern is they need to dissect what's just happened to Stephen with him dying at the end of the episode. They need to reveal Jake and wrap up the overarching story of
the fuck is going on.
Yeah. And that is a lot to do in one 50-minute episode. And do well.
I have my prediction of how I think this might end.
Go on, let me hear it. I need reassurance, and I'm going to blame you if then they don't wrap it up to my satisfaction.
The way that they are presenting the story and where it's going is that they are going to go back through the gate to the overworld, and he's going to come back to life. I think what we see is Jake does get revealed on the boat and then that is the point where like they're then together right before like they go through the gate or something. So he's like, what the fuck? There's a third. He's like, who are you? They end up in the overworld, and then he comes back and he's like, who the fuck was the third one? But he's back as like Mark alive. And then with Khonshu's help, Khonshu's gonna be the way that they get Steven back. Because that happened in like the Egyptian god limbo world. I think they'll go free Khonshu and he'll get Steven back, however that happens or looks. And I think the way the story wraps up is I think it's less about the antagonist and like yes, that's gonna probably get wrapped up in some way, but I think the way that the story actually itself is gonna wrap up is us actually having like all three personalities. He is now Moon Knight. They're gonna work like they have this collective understanding, and it's kind of like we're good to go now, sort of thing. Like everything's got itself in its place and set.
So,
but I do agree that is a lot to do in one episode.
Yeah, and do well. I've kind of accepted that one of the three things they need to do is gonna be a bit lackluster.
Agreed, and I think the thing that's lackluster is the antagonist wrap up.
I've got a feeling it's Jake being opened up and explored, but we'll see. Overall, I think the way I would describe the episode is hauntingly beautiful.
Yeah, I think it was an incredible episode. I think the way that they went through memories and we finally kind of got a bit more of a understanding as to what the fuck's going on with Mark and where Steve, like how he's got to this place that he's at. I'm pretty sure it was like after episode 2, you predicted that his mum's actually dead.
Mm-hmm.
And he thinks he's talking to the mum. Well.
So, the things that I really, really adored about this episode, the way the memories were done and the way they were explored, the way that Mark dealt with all the people he's killed, and the fact that he remembered all of them and where it happened and stuff, really brought a more human side to Mark. Them finally making it not painfully obvious, that makes it sound like I didn't like it. The way they made it very clear that he has Jewish heritage and is Jewish.
Yeah.
I'm glad they finally showed that and made that very, very clear. It's slightly different to the other three parts, but the cinematography and the actual acting and shooting of it from Oscar Isaac and the camera work and everything was phenomenal. The best in the show so far, I think. One thing that I like, but I'm not sure how much I like. Maybe it's just me because I knew a little bit more about the character. I'm not sure if you remember when I did the Moon Knight character profile back in episode 5.
Yeah,
4?
A while ago.
4 or 5. I said that he was abused by his father as a child. They've changed that to his mother. I kind of like that change because it differentiates and it also makes Steven's connection with their mum all that more biting like 5 episodes later.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's really a change anyone will notice outside of...
I think that's one of those changes where they've, for their narrative and how they want to present things, is like a change that they've made. I think it's a good change. I think it works fine.
Do you want to know a really funny story? And obviously I have no evidence to back this up. People are just going to have to trust that I'm not trying
bold.
Yeah, people are just going to have to trust that I'm not trying to brag because this would be the most weirdest brag. I almost did a character profile on Randall Spector because he is quite an important character from the comics.
Oh.
So that's probably who I'll do a character profile on next week.
Well then.
I decided against it because there was no information given to us to make us think that he was going to be the antagonist of the show, which,
Mhm.
I mean, he isn't. So I was just like, I'll leave it. It probably won't even matter. Now I'm obviously kicking myself because it'd been really cool for me right now to sit here and go. And if you remember the Randall Spector character profile, we know I'm pretty sure he's a villain later on. I can't remember though. So yeah, I thought that was quite cool as well that they've put that egg out there. So if they do decide to use any of the storylines revolving around his brother, we know there's history there now. He thinks his brother's dead. His mother abused him and belittled him and hated him for what happened to his brother. And then season 2 of Moon Knight or a Moon Knight film, whatever, his brother rocks back up as the bad guy, could be quite an interesting story.
Yeah. I think overall, I think they've, because also I think the visual effects, I said last week, I thought the visual effects were great. Was it last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, with the whole turning back the sky, which was impressive. But when you think about how many different like visual effect shots in this episode there were, with them in the dunes, then the fact that like, because they've split them apart, doing two people that is the same actor, every single shot they're both in is visual effects.
Exactly.
And like there was points where they were like fighting each other and Mark was grabbing Steven and stuff. No point.
Really well done.
Yeah, no point did I was like, oh, that's like a head replacement, or like that's like no point did I spot any visual effects, and like it pulled me out of the fact that this is the same actor doing both. You kind of just
It was all very well done.
get sucked into the fact that you're like, oh, this is just kind of like twins or something you're watching do this. It was very well acted by
It was
Oscar.
so good. So good. Also, huge shout out to Torit.
Being like the super nice.
Yeah. Who, we did correctly predict who she was. Granted, we had loads of evidence and it did make sense, but still, we were right, which is always nice. We'll take the victories. But yeah, I loved her character. She was brilliant. She was so likable. I wanted to give her a hug.
Yeah.
She seems how you'd expect the god of women and children to be.
Yeah.
Cuddly, very nice and sensitive, and wants to help.
Yeah.
And I don't know who did the voice acting for her, but whoever it was, they did a really good job. And I think she was a brilliant addition to the narrative.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much of an audible gasp did you make when Stephen fell to his death?
It was less of an audible gasp as like, holy shit. I was more like, what? I
think my audible gasp was probably like a 7 or an 8, and I turned to General and I went, what the shit? I'm in disbelief. I still am. I can't believe they actually killed him.
I've done that. Well, yeah. he might not be dead.
I'm really, really curious, and I'm sorry. I know this is very, very unprofessional, but you know what? We don't make money, so it can be unprofessional. I've just looked over to my Twitter on my other monitor, and Stephen Grant is trending.
Oh no! Is it because people are talking about him frozen?
Keeping Grandma locked in until they bring back Stephen Grant with the old picture of the woman inside the big bird cage. A lot of people being very complimentary of the little boy who plays young Mark and Stephen, who also did a really good job.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, sorry, I'm back. I just literally saw my trending for you update, and it was on there.
Well, the way I see it is, Tiamat, she said like, those that don't balance the scales are just trapped here in the sands forever. They're not dead. They're just trapped.
I mean, they are dead because they're in the afterlife already.
Yeah, but they're not like... they're not dead, like re-roll your character dead. They're...
Fucking nerd.
Yeah, they're down and can be resurrected.
Yeah. life-saving
That's why.
role.
That's why I think like Khonshu is going to do something to.
Or the other gods of the
Yeah,
Empire.
or it's like they stop the antagonist guy, and the other gods realize, oh, Khonshu was right, and there's a way of repayment or like apology. They bring Steven, like they correct things, like Steven being trapped.
You've also got to remember, Stephen was a personality created by someone who'd experienced something traumatic and had BPD.
Mm-hmm.
While I'm not necessarily sure it would do any good for the narrative and raising awareness for BPD, they could be lazy and just say, I mean, he rethought him up and he rebuilt him in his mind. Not saying I'd
Yeah,
like that idea, but that would be an easy cop out.
I think
I
they
don't
could
think
get
they will.
away with that if it wasn't for the fact of like they did the whole two hearts thing.
Yeah.
I think had it been one heart or like, and he was still like kind of this, he's just imagining him there now. They could have got around it a bit,
Oh,
but
like a PTSD style thing.
yeah, so more like Tima, she only saw Mark or something, but he's seeing Steven next to him because of the work where they are, like it fragmented in that way.
I
But
thought you meant they might use him in like a PTSD way going forward. Like Mark can always
maybe,
see him, but that's because Mark is like
maybe
traumatized by losing him.
they could do that, and like he never actually takes over again.
Yeah, he's
He
just there.
just, yeah, they could do it that way. Also, talking about that has made me remember when she pulled the two hearts out and she was like, these feel incomplete. I wanted her to say, it feels like I have only 2/3.
Yeah,
I was like, you want to say that each one weighs like a third, right? That's what you're gonna
yeah.
say. I was like, you gonna make it out that it's free.
Well, literally, I probably I want to say I said it, but I probably shouted it. I'm going to be honest with you. When she said, "Go look and see what's missing to make you guys complete," I literally said at the top of my voice, "Go back to that room with the other fucking sarcophagus." But
I,
they walked past like the first 4 doors, and I'm like, "No, it was in one of the ones behind you. Go back, let Jake out."
well, when she said that, I was like, oh, they're gonna go get Jake,
Yeah.
and then I'm like, oh no, they're in a room of dead bodies now. I was like, what the fuck is going on here?
I was really impressed, bearing in mind they weren't giving me what I wanted, and how much I still enjoyed the episode.
Yeah, like
Because, like, you know me, if they're not doing what I expected / wanted, there is a real chance I'm just like, no shit. But it was still a very, very good episode that I
the
enjoyed.
thing is, though, in the case of Moon Knight, them not doing what you expected is actually them doing a good job.
Yeah. Um, but overall, I think it was another brilliant episode.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, I am concerned that it's gonna suffer the same fate as all of the other Disney Plus shows, and the last episode is gonna let it down. But I think it's been the best paced show so far.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt that they have a way that isn't going to make me feel, God, that felt rushed.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the best show, which has shown they're improving,
Exactly.
and I mean, I'm easily satisfied.
But
I never rate anything badly.
if they do not mess it up, if it's a lackluster finale, I will then firmly be of the opinion that we're not going to get a truly top to bottom flawless show until they go up to 9 episodes. If
Okay, yeah,
Moon Knight can't even wrap it up, they have to go up to 9 episodes. They have
yeah.
to.
I think you're right, and I actually would lean into saying, I think they will eventually increase the shows. I think the issue they've kind of had is they've obviously had with the launch of Disney Plus, they had so many shows that the ideas for shows like right, we're gonna do these, and these. Star Wars is doing this, and this. We need to fit this into like the first 2 years of Disney Plus. This is your allotted slot, and it's like, yeah, you only get 6 episodes. And unfortunately, they kind of like bottled themselves into
Yeah.
that situation.
only show that hasn't had a completely underwhelming ending was WandaVision, which was 9 episodes.
Yeah.
And they were all longer episodes as well. They all hit the hour mark, as far as I remember.
It's because it was the first one.
Yeah, and if that's what it takes, that's what it takes. A lot of like comic miniseries are 6 to 9 issues, so like it's almost like it lines up kind of nicely with the sense of, okay, cool. Yeah, you're essentially doing a mini story. You're not managing to do it in 6 issues, so make it 9 issues.
Yeah.
It's not a fucking problem. We push we if we don't want stuff overlapping, we push stuff back a little bit, and it just means there's more content every week for people. Like, it's not an issue. It builds in a bit of a buffer. Or they just allow it to overlap slightly and not let it be the end of the world. But if Moonlight can't wrap it up, I will be screaming for the foreseeable future anytime they announce a 6-episode series.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I do like, and I still I think the reason we're in this situation is Disney Plus is still new, and I do think they don't want overlap, and they had so many shows they wanted to release. So hopefully, as time goes on, it improves.
Yeah, I agree. So last week, or last couple of weeks, we've been having like thoughtful questions.
Yeah,
instead of
talking
just
points.
discussing whatever's happened. Yeah, exactly. And last week during the episode, I came up with our controversial opinions.
Okay.
That might end up with people like disagreeing with us quite heavily.
I'm ready.
And you know what? To double down on how controversial this opinion is, I'm even gonna I would say name and shame, but I don't know any of the people by name. I'm gonna point out the kind of people who like need to hear it.
Oh, okay.
DC Twitter fanboys who are all over The Batman by Matt Reeves, which is a fantastic film. I've made it very clear I love that film. Who are trying to use how good that film is to like shit on Spider-Man No Way Home. This is for them.
Okay.
A film that is super heavy on fan service and fan service moments doesn't instantly make it a bad film because it's relied heavily on them instances. You can have a fuck ton of fan service in a film that is there purely to be fan service, like a lot of Marvel films do, without it making them worse films in the sense of, oh, they had to rely on fan service. No, you can make a really good film, tell a great story, and still go, fuck it, fan service, fan service, fan service. It's fine. It doesn't ruin anything. Grow the fuck up.
I agree.
And the amount of I didn't actually think this was a controversial opinion until the Batman came out, which is crazy. But like, just the reaction, it's like, see, Batman is so much better than Spider-Man because he didn't need fan service. It does my nutting. Get the fuck over it. Spider-Man did loads of fan service. Guess what? Still a great film.
Keeping on the topic of DC.
Oh no, we both going after DC.
To start with. Now this...
Ready to be called a Marvel.
I already tried pissing them off last week.
Corey wants to start a fight.
But apparently I want to try harder. But
just a quick disclaimer. Not even 2 minutes ago, I did literally say that I'm getting ready to be pissed off at Marvel, so don't anyone accuse me of being a Marvel fanboy. I just want everyone to do their best.
So we'll see if people come after me for this one, but we really don't need the Snyderverse.
You know what? You're right. It's a controversial opinion, but you're also right. It fucking shouldn't be. Yeah.
It's a true statement, but I know that's going to piss off a lot of people.
Yeah. The films he did are good, but having seen after the Zack Snyder Justice League cut came out, what his plans were for the following films, I'm glad he got cut off when he did.
Yeah, I think...
There are shit that he had in his plans for his Snyderverse that I never ever want to see.
I think it's just one of them where... Yes, it helped Justice League and it's cool that he got his chance to actually finish it how he wanted to. Fair enough. But saying that they now give us the Snyderverse, we want the Snyderverse. Snyderverse is the best. Like, no, stop that. He got his moment. He got his chance to finish what he started.
Yep.
End it there.
Yeah, I agree with you. So somehow we've both picked controversial opinions that are controversial, but we agree with each other.
I have another one that you might not agree with.
Oh, Hori's done one just pissed me off.
Possibly. And you've got to let me finish before you you say anything, because I know this will probably wind you up. But I think Aquaman was a decent film, excluding Amber Heard. Ignore Amber Heard because of who she is. Just erase that section of the film, that character. I actually think Aquaman's a decent film, and I quite enjoyed it.
Okay, so I have not seen the entirety of Aquaman in one sitting.
Okay.
I've seen the entire film, but like disjointed and in 4 parts. So I saw like the last bit first, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. It is quite a good film. It does everything it needs to do right. It is missing a couple of things. For me personally. And the news of Amber Heard since it has been released does make it infinitely less watchable for me, because I'm one of these people who really struggles to separate the art from the artist.
I get it.
And I don't shame anyone who can do it. I don't think you're a scumbag if you still enjoy R. Kelly music, despite knowing he's an absolute piece of shit.
What a comparison! Of all the examples, you were like,
oh, it's just that's a
I know. It's just like...
But I personally have always struggled to separate the art from the artist, which is why I probably won't watch that film again. But I do agree with you. It's a completely.
I was like, it's a dangerous territory going to Aquaman with you.
Yeah. No. It is a completely passable film. It is. You're completely right. It's better than Batman vs Superman. It's better than.
Yeah, I'd say
original Suicide Squad. It's better than.
It was probably the best out of the Justice League set.
Yeah, the only ones that DC's extended universe has done that I'd have above it is Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's cut of the Justice League, and James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm forgetting any films. I haven't seen the original Wonder Woman, so I can't comment. But I do know for a fact the second Wonder Woman film is shit.
The first one was okay. I preferred.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's too controversial, but I won't be watching it again.
Have you got more?
No, I don't. I only came up with one.
Oh, I have a few, because
keep going,
last week you were like, when you said this, and I even said last week, I was like, oh, I'm so ready to piss off some fans. Now, this probably isn't super controversial. There's probably like parties on both sides.
So you think it's more divisive?
Maybe, yeah. But
okay.
Hawkeye should have died, not Black Widow. Hawkeye's character arc had wrapped up through his different stages. He'd come to terms with everything. I think it would have been a good way for him to kind of end after everything he'd done and sacrifice himself that way.
I agree with you. Pre-Black Widow.
I'm trying to... Yeah.
Yeah?
Is that because you don't feel Black Widow is that great of a...
No. Oh. It's not even that. I think the character development we get in Black Widow changes how that is perceived. So, like, similar to, like, after watching WandaVision, everyone decided Age of Ultron's a much better film than they gave it credit for. because the context added by WandaVision made that world feel better. I think the context added to Natasha from the Black Widow film makes her decision make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Because what it was before Black Widow was woman kills herself so man can have his family back. When in reality, after watching Black Widow and seeing the struggle she had with her own family, what we get is more of a story of she lost her family. She then had a new family with the Avengers that she loved.
Mm.
The blip happened and she lost both of her families.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing the pain of that, neither of them wanted the other one to die. So she was always going to fight Clint anyway. But it's also the added benefit of, I know my two families will be okay and my best friend will get his family back. Clint had no idea about Natasha's family.
In Hawkeye, we've learned he did know. He just didn't know. He knew of them, but didn't know details of them.
Exactly. I do get the divisiveness of it. But I think after Black Widow and the Hawkeye show, I think it was the right decision. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not something controversial.
Yeah.
It's more divisive. Everyone's it's Team Hawkeye versus Team Black Widow in the weirdest way possible.
I think it's more like I would have been quite happy. Like the way it was done, I was like, okay. I think I also would have been maybe slightly more okay if it had been the other way around. I think it was kind of one of those where they both had reasons, or they were both at sort of reasonable points that it could have been either of them to go, and it would have felt like they were wrapped up. But yeah.
But I also think logically, for the planning point of view, they knew Black Widow was going to set up the new Black Widow.
Yeah.
They couldn't set up the new Hawkeye if Hawkeye died.
True. Yeah, true. To fit
that
with
little bit of just like logic
to fit with their like plan of Marvel and MCU, like it had to be that way, obviously. I have a couple more. One's kind of the last one is very trolly.
It's just gonna be something outrageous like comic book movies is shit.
Not quite. So my next one is I kind of wish they scrapped the dance scene in Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like rewatching that.
Battle.
Yeah, rewatching that. It's really not funny, and it's kind of like cringy and not like it just feels weird.
I would say it has aged poorly.
Yeah.
At the time it worked.
I think in the moment of seeing it, it was like, haha, but it really, like, I kind of wish they hadn't.
Yeah, but it also fits the characters really well.
I guess.
Like, the Star-Lord we have now wouldn't do that, but for Star-Lord then, that's exactly what that dumbass would do.
I suppose.
And I feel like when you go back to watch older films, having already seen character progression, it feels a bit weird sometimes.
Yeah, maybe that's why.
I think the best example for me of that kind of like watching a character after they've progressed to the beginning was in The Big Bang Theory. Sheldon progresses a lot throughout that show. Jenna had never seen it. I'd seen most of it, and I was rewatching it. She kind of half watched the last 2 seasons with me, and then she watched it herself. And she was in love with Sheldon in them last 2 seasons. Because at the end of Big Bang Theory, Sheldon's a really nice, likable guy that you feel really sorry for. Then she goes and watched it from the beginning, and she's like, "Oh my god, he's such an arsehole." And I'm like, "But it's character development."
Several years of character development.
Yeah, and she's like, "It feels so fucking weird though that he's just so different and out there." And like, she liked Howard at the end of Big Bang Theory.
Oh no!
The earlier seasons of Big Bang Theory ruined
so
Howard
creepy.
For her. Yeah, exactly. So I think when you go back to watch old films, sometimes it's really difficult to like regress the character in your mind.
Yeah, I still stand by that. Like, they could have scrapped it and it would have been fine.
Oh yeah, it wouldn't have been missed, but
No.
I can definitely see why they thought it was a good idea at the time.
Now, I think this might piss off the most people.
You're going on a troll now, as you like to say.
And maybe I don't actually believe this, but just for the bants, and I'm going to stick by it. Groot is overrated.
Oh, he's going to be fighting for his fucking life all the time.
Groot is overrated, and they should have just let him die when he got blown up.
I wholeheartedly disagree with this. Please don't shout at me. You can shout at him, though. I'm not even dignifying it for a response. I'm not even dignifying it for a response. Well, there we go. That was our controversial opinions.
I feel like I ended on the best one.
Yeah, 100%. We're just going to move swiftly on. We're just going to let the people sit there dumbfounded.
Just let them just mull it over. I feel like we've lost some listeners because of that.
When Jenna listens to this, she's going to go, I can't believe you didn't condemn him for saying that. Okay, cool. News.
Yes.
So there's I don't know what the actual convention is at the minute, but there's basically a massive film convention going on. And at that, we've had some good news and some bad news. The good news is the sequel to Matt Reeves' Batman has been confirmed as being in early pre-production, which just means script writing, if we're completely honest.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves, when he took over originally, might have already written a couple of drafts of the second film. So it might be the later stages of script writing, but it's still going to be in script writing. The bad news.
Okay.
This person was almost my character profile this week, just so we're clear.
Uh-huh.
I then did about 30 seconds of research and went, that would be the shortest character profile of all time. No. I'm not doing it.
Okay.
So the new live-action Sony Spiderverse that they're trying to build film has been announced. It's going to be another bad guy film.
Okay.
About the very, very famous and well-known El Muerto.
Who?
Yes, exactly. Starring the rapper Bad Bunny.
Yeah, you sent me this is a message now. I didn't even go and do research. I just read it. I was like, huh? I'm sure Connor will explain this on the podcast.
So I mean, first and foremost, I mean, Sony have the rights to all Spider-Man characters. They could have done like Spider-Man 2099. They could have done the Lizard. They could have done Scorpion. If they really decided they had to do another bad guy film.
Yep.
Rhino.
Yeah.
The character they've decided. Are you ready? This is what my character profile would have been.
When did he come out?
First appeared in 2006.
Whew.
Since 2006, he has had 2 comic book appearances.
Ooh. Really fleshed out.
The man has appeared twice in Spider-Man comics.
It's pretty impressive, honestly.
He's a Mexican wrestler who's I don't even really know. I think he's just like meh. He's like a Mexican wrestler that he wears like a mask.
Why do I feel like whoever the writer or
why do I feel like Sony don't respect us?
Why do I feel like someone in the office has gone, they're like trying to plan, right, what are we doing next? And someone's gone, what about this guy? Can't go any worse than Morbius. No one knows about this guy, so no one could be pissed at us if we get it wrong. He hasn't got any backstory, so they can't be pissed at us if we don't do it right.
They've gone from a really beloved character of Morbius, who they fucking butchered. Apparently. Apparently. I still haven't seen it. Apparently butchered. And they've gone to the complete other, and they're like, here is someone that no one fucking knows.
I feel like they've done it so that they like comic book fans can't be mad about them getting it wrong.
No, but comic book fans can go, why the fuck are you doing
Yeah, well,
this
yeah,
character?
obviously, but like I feel like if they do
Spider-Man
it,
has a top 5 rogues gallery, in my opinion. And they've managed to grab someone that no one fucking knows.
yeah. I'd
I
like
honestly
to.
read that Sony announced a film about El Muerto, and I didn't think it was a superhero film. I thought Sony were doing like a biopic of an actual Mexican wrestler. It was only when I clicked on it and started scrolling I realised what the fuck was going on. Don't get me wrong, I know I'm not like king of people who know what's going on about comic books. There are very, very few Spider-Man villains that I wouldn't hear the name and be able to at least tell you they're a comic book character.
I'd like to
very minimum.
know how many like really hardcore like Spider-Man comic fans saw that announcement and like went, really him? Like, could they're like, isn't he in like? I wonder if someone read it was like, I'm sure he's only been in one comic. Like someone that recognizes the name and they're just like
someone who gets like the monthly, which is like issue like 1,300 or whatever now.
They're just like, wasn't he in like one comic like a few years ago? Like, why him?
What's this fucking dickhead doing?
Like
they have the rights to Miles Morales, for fuck's sake.
Do you really want them doing Miles Morales?
No, but that's not the point. That's not the point. My point is
no. Do you know what?
Do you hate money?
No. Do you know what? Go for it, Sony. Use these characters that no one's ever heard of that will never get used again. Absolutely bomb them in the box office to the point where you go, fine, we're not doing any superhero films anymore, and get rid of the rights.
I can't believe it. Fans are furious.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Especially when you had this Into the Spiderverse, which had so many different Spider-Men. Like Nicolas Cage as a live-action Spider-Man noir would work just as well as him as a voice actor did.
There's so many things they could do, but honestly, I'm kind of fine with Sony continuously bombing their films at the box office because maybe it means they eventually get rid of the rights.
They bought, and I don't want this to be a debate, this is a fact, they bought the biggest superhero of all time and all of their villains film rights. We are in an age where comic book films print money and these fuckers still can't make a penny.
Not without the help of...
What the fuck are they doing?
Marvel and MCU and Disney.
Maybe this is my ego. No, it's 100% my ego, but I also stand by what I'm about to say. Give me the resources of Sony, I'll make them $10 billion in the next 15 years.
But we don't want to make them money.
They'd be good films, so I'd be okay with it. The only reason I don't want them to make money right now is because they're making bad films.
I want them to not be making money, so eventually they go, "Oh, this superhero thing just doesn't work. Let's get rid of the rights."
The problem is, the Spider-Man films still count as Sony films, which resets their timer. So the way the contract works is, if they don't make a Spider-Man related film every 5 years, they lose the rights. Like they instantly revert back to Marvel for free. So like,
maybe one day.
Marvel are never going to get the rights back.
You never know.
Well, no, because if we get rid of Spider-Man from the MCU and go, go out here alone, they will just like put out shit Spider-Man.
You never know what might happen. Maybe Sony will turn around and go, you know what? Have it back.
Maybe Sony will go under.
Maybe they'll waste all their money trying to sell PS5s.
In other film-related news,
yes,
Kevin Feige.
Yes.
He's taken all the creative team away for a big old retreat. Where
something that they do, is it annually or every...
I think they did do it annually, but this is the first one since the pandemic.
Oh, okay.
And apparently on that, they will be setting out plans for the next 10 years. Obviously, like I said, they normally do this yearly, so none of the plans will be set in stone, but they will lay the groundwork for the next 10 years, and then every year they'll be able to build on that.
And I imagine each year they like are constantly shifting around.
Oh yeah,
We're gonna have all these characters coming out. Oh, we'll do it in this order. Oh, next year, actually, no, we've changed this around because this has happened.
Anyone who thinks prior to Infinity that they were planning on using the multiverse in such a big way is delusional. They might have had it written down somewhere that they'd like to do it, but it takes time to find out if this stuff's even possible. They'll have a rough flow, and then everything else kind of slides into place as time goes on. And that's what it is. They're setting out like the riverbed where stuff is going to flow in that direction. And then over time, they'll correct the course and go, oh, we don't want to go that way. Let's go this way.
There'll also be a process of like, they'll be going through the comics and going, this is a really major thing that happens in the comic books. That's definitely in the list of stuff we want to do in this film universe. And then it's like, okay, we have a list of all these events or like major points. How can we fit these into the direction we're going, and where do they fit? And it's just a jigsaw puzzle.
Exactly.
Exciting to see though. The fact that it's kind of like, I mean, we already know there's films coming out for X amount of years, but like these films aren't going anywhere.
Exactly.
They're continuously going to be planning ahead. So
exactly.
But we won't learn about any of this for 10 years. It'll be 10 years before we go, oh, that's what they were doing on that retreat.
I don't know how, and I know I wouldn't be able to talk about it on here. I need to find a way to get invited to this.
Get the inside scoop. Just what you need to do.
Me and you in like 2 years' time, like, sorry guys, we're gonna have to skip this week's episode. We're going away this week. Don't worry about it. Nothing's going on.
You need
Just like how like every couple of years, loads of streamers disappear for a week to play test a new game, and everyone's like, "What will you play test?"
Why are all these streamers in LA at the same time for the same 2 days?
How convenient.
No, what you need to do is find out where they have the retreat, like what hotel or resort. No, and get a job as staff there, and just be like wait on staff for their retreat, and then you just like when you're in the boat, they're in the room like handing out mimosas and whatever they're drinking. You just have a quick look at the whiteboard, quick like, oh, what's going on? Okay. Yeah.
No, because Horry, you've met me. I'd see that on the board they have a dumb.
Oh, you should do this and start moving stuff around.
Yeah. And I'd look at it and I go, you are not fucking doing that. That is a terrible idea. Or I'd be like, yes, do that. Don't let that one slip. Make sure you do that one. That'll be really good.
You'd be there going, did you know if you could do it this way around? Like if you put that film afterwards, you could have this lead into that, and they're all like, who's this guy?
You'd start holding court with all of them sitting there like 2-year-olds with their legs crossed.
You just sit down and start drinking the drinks that you brought for them. Quickest way to get yourself fired.
Is there anything else we need to discuss before the Superhero Showdown?
I don't think so.
Okie dokie. So, in case you've listened to every other episode apart from last week, which, I mean, is possible.
It's possible.
For, I want to say since like episode 6, we were saying we wanted to put a bracket together so that we didn't have to remember a Superhero Showdown every week and it could just be natural.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we started the bracket with the first fight, which was Hercules versus Blade, and Hercules won. This week, we're going to be finding out who they're going to face in the second round. So Hercules will either be facing Luke Cage or Nightcrawler in the next round.
Yep.
The rules are simple. No prep time. Nothing that the person wouldn't normally have on them when fighting crime. So just because they used it one time randomly doesn't mean they always have it on them. And the characters are bloodlusted, meaning they do not give a fuck about morality. They are out to kill the other person.
Yes.
Okay.
Who's going first?
Do you want to go first?
No.
Okay.
You're going first.
So Luke Cage is Power Man. His powers are very simple. He's mega fucking strong.
Mega durable.
Direct quote from Marvel, by the way. Mega fucking strong. He
MFS.
has unbreakable skin of anything earthbound and a lot of other stuff as well. There is stuff that can break his skin, but nothing naturally found on Earth can break his skin.
And he has ridiculous stamina.
Yeah. Fun fact: in Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. Again, the second one they did. He killed Luke Cage by using pin particles to shrink nuclear bombs down into his coffee. It's
That's such a Deadpool thing to do.
Yeah, Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe and Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe again are fucking brilliant.
I fucking love Deadpool, man.
And then Nightcrawler is a mutant, blue guy with his tail, German, Kurt Wagner, can teleport.
He's agile, reflexes.
He's quite strong. He's very fucking acrobatic and talented. He kind of has like, it's not the way monkeys do it in the sense of they have like a hand at the end of their leg, but he kind of has like 3 big ass fingers, like mitten fingers, on his hands and on his feet that allow him to do a similar kind of thing. He's, I want to say, an expert swordsman, but doesn't really carry swords.
I was going to say, does he not carry fencing style swords? Or sword?
I really think he does. I think he was, as part of his act when he was in the circus, I think he did a bit of fencing. And he's an expert swordsman, but I don't think he really carries swords anymore. He doesn't really use weapons too much. His tail is quite sharp and can be used defensively.
And he has camouflage.
Yeah. Purely because of the fact they are bloodlusted, I think Luke Cage wins.
I agree. The way
Nightcrawler will cause him a fuck ton of problems. He will piss him off. He will teleport. He will jab at him. He will drive at him. But similar to Blade versus Hercules, the durability is just so much that eventually Luke Cage is going to get lucky and get hold of him and rip his fucking head off.
Yeah. The way I see it is, yes, Nightcrawler can TP around. He's got superhuman reflexes. He's agile, whatever.
Nightcrawler's TP's heaven. Nightcrawler's in heaven. Heaven now. Shooting, one shot.
Although
Sorry,
he's...
like you said, TP.
Yeah. Gamer talk. While he has all that, and yes, he'll, like you say, cause Luke Cage, like, he'll be annoying as fuck to him. At the end of the day, Nightcrawler's like slightly stronger than the average man, but he can still, like, he has no like resistance. He's still like any other person, and if Luke Cage punched an ordinary person, it's gonna fucking hurt. So it's like, yes, he can bounce around and everything, but as soon as Luke Cage starts like smacking him, like, Nightcrawler's done. And also, I don't know if that tail actually does any damage to Luke Cage, really. Does it class as like... It's like it might hurt him a little bit, cut him up a bit, but it's not going to like...
It would hurt, but I don't think it can cut him. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Skin.
So it's probably just like being punched.
My only questions, and I'm still of the opinion Luke Cage wins. The only way that I see Nightcrawler winning, and let me be very clear here, I don't have enough information to say whether this is possible or not. This is just like if this is possible, he might be able to win. If Luke Cage's internal organs are not as durable as his skin, which I believe is the case, I believe his internal organs are just normal. It's just his skin that's unbreakable. And if Nightcrawler can teleport inside someone, he might be able to kill him.
I don't think he
But-
can TP inside someone.
Exactly. And I also am not confident in saying that if he was to teleport inside someone, he wouldn't also really, really hurt himself.
Well, yeah, because he can't break his skin, so he's just going to crush himself inside Luke Cage's body.
Exactly.
As far as I know, Nightcrawler can't TP into like objects like that, because it's the same way as like if he was to TP across a room, he doesn't TP half into the floor.
Exactly.
Like he has that kind of spatial awareness for his teleporting.
Because I believe the way his power works is what he actually does is teleport to another realm of existence.
Yeah, and reappear, sort of.
Travels through that realm of existence and then teleports back from that realm of existence. Yeah. Because everything that the X-Men do is unnecessarily complicated. Like, for instance, Cyclops doesn't actually shoot lasers out of his eyes. His eyes are portals to a universe that is just pure kinetic energy. So when his eyes open, the pure kinetic energy
legit.
comes out of that portal, which is his eyes, and therefore is a concussive beam.
Can he open those portals elsewhere?
No.
His body.
No, he could not. But yeah, it's just
yeah. But yeah, I think in this situation, I think Luke, like Nightcrawler, agility doesn't beat fucking strength.
Exactly. Especially when you're bloodlusted. Like, there's only so much.
Yeah.
If Luke Cage was just as strong as Luke Cage is, but didn't have his unbreakable skin, I'd probably give it to Nightcrawler.
Yeah, you could probably keep repeat this TP stab
exactly.
sort of thing, but
the fact that Luke Cage can just take all of that until he gets lucky enough to grab hold of him and do some damage is the difference maker.
Yeah.
But we said last week that this first round of fights, because all the characters have been seeded, is probably going to be pretty cut and dry most of the time. Purely because of the nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there we go. So we have our first quarterfinal locked in. Hercules versus Luke Cage.
It's going to be interesting.
It will be. And next week, we've got Martian Manhunter versus Aquaman.
I'll ask the question next week.
No, go and ask a question. I can't promise I have an answer, but you can ask it.
Where are they fighting? Do they fight in a completely blank, empty space?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's no. Okay, so no one gets environmental advantages.
No.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, no, it's a good one question.
Because
in my head, I was kind of just imagining like
just a white.
What, with a better word, like an octagon almost, or like a superhero octagon.
No megalodons being summoned.
Welcome back to the Superhero Fighting League. Blah 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 blah. But yeah, so that'll be an interesting one next week. Martian Manhunter versus Aquaman. I believe that is about it from us.
I believe so.
We've got bank holiday weekend now, which would be nice. I mean, I know it's not bank holiday weekend for you, but it's for me. So,
I don't have to go to work every day, so.
I will be live most of the weekend on my YouTube and Twitch. Hori will probably go live at some point because there's new Valorant stuff's out.
Possibly it'd be more maybe afternoons before HCS stuff.
If not, when he's playing Valorant in the evenings with me, you'll be able to hear his voice on my stream.
I think that's everything.
Yeah. Follow us on all of our social media so that you don't miss out on stuff. I have some ideas that I would like to execute using our Twitter. So you've got to make sure you follow us over there so you don't miss out on that kind of stuff. Thank you for listening. I hope you had a good time. We always have a good time. And we will catch you next week for the episode that we'll be discussing, the season finale of Moon Knight.
We'll see you next week.